Welcome to my presentation. Today I am covering off some of my thesis projects which were focused on exercise sensors and their supporting online social networks and management systems, in particular their design and how it affects behavioural change, as well as the actual exercise outcomes and patterns of behaviour of its users. The reason this has been a focus for me is that I've spent the past 8 years designing, developing and commercialising similar technologies, and I was always concerned that we were missing a point. And given the fact that you don't have to look far to see some fairly disturbing figures coming from newspapers, such that 60% of Fitbit users put the device back in the drawer within 12 months of purchase, to realise that perhaps this technology isn't what it's cut out to be, and perhaps it requires a bit of research and investigation to try and come up with ways and means to improve it such that they could have a role to play in larger scale public health interventions. The first part of the study looked at the data produced from 20,000 users of a wearable exercise technology system, and it was allowed me to sort of ask some fairly fundamental questions about who these people are, what they do with this technology, and what they do online, interacting with one another, and what the associations are between their characteristics as individuals, their fitness and physical characteristics, and how they interact with the actual exercise outcomes and their patterns of use with the device itself. Unsurprisingly to me, given the particular vendor, a large portion of the users in our population sample were male, some 83%. As well, 29% of them choose running as their prime activity. When we examine the anthropometrics of these particular users, we found that they had a mean BMI of around 24 plus, and they tended to exercise with reasonable regularity, between 1 and 3 hours or so a week, according to the fitness index as recorded by the system itself. So overall, they tend to be lean, relatively active people, rather than people who are sedentary and obese. Of particular interest to me was really what goes on online between people, and why, what effect it has on their exercise behaviour. So online sociability, if you will, was an area of great interest. And by sociability, we're really looking at how people use the facility to interact with others in order to satisfy their needs for relatedness to others and enable them the opportunity to share common purpose. And it seemed that everybody liked to follow. Look what everybody else is doing, and keep an eye on things, so to speak. Interestingly, running a gamut of multiple regressions on the data sets, we've found that the more people that were followed by others or were following others, then the greater their average number of logins into the system, and interestingly enough, the greater the number of exercise sessions that they upload to the system. Like their mainstream social network counterparts such as Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and the like, the movescount.com system, which was what we were examining, also provides its users with the facility to indicate a thumbs up to show that they like something that they've done or somebody else has done. And so these likes were, again, an area of interest to me, as I wanted to understand what role that played on people's use of the system. And it was interesting that over 67% of all the likes that were indicated for exercise sessions that were uploaded to the system were by the individuals for their own exercise sessions rather than for the exercise efforts of others. It certainly brought to mind the potentially positive role of self-affirmation when looking at people's self-efficacy, their self-esteem, and their exercise self-effort. Remembering that self-affirmation theory tells us that an individual tend to seek succor in drawing on personal attributes, accomplishments, etc., that reassure them. And what we possibly have here is the role of exercise as a means to securing that self-appraisal and self-worth, despite what else may be happening in the individual's daily life. They seem to enjoy indicating that the exercise was a positive experience. Given that their self-esteem is boosted by their exercise accomplishment, then this is a very positive relationship with their exercise self-efficacy. And there's a large body of evidence in the literature to support that, such as Litt, Klebinger and Judge, Bandura, Martin and Woods, as recently as 2012. But the actual role self-affirmation plays in encouraging physical activity is not extensively researched, although Cook et al. In 2014 recently used a controlled trial to investigate the association between self-affirmation and physical activity behaviour. They found that self-affirmation, does have a positive effect on health and increases self-reported physical activity. So liking is not a bad thing, it seems. What would be very interesting would be to examine the sliding scale, if you like, or the gradations of satisfaction that the range of emoticons that a system such as Fitbit provides its users, where there is some subtlety about exactly how happy people are with their exercise effort. And it would be nice to associate that with their exercise outcomes and online sociability proclivities. Now, what's interesting in this regard is that in 2013, Tomer and Hancock investigated a large volume of Facebook interactions and found that indeed people would tend to gravitate towards their Facebook profile and view it and reflect on it when they have had blows to their self-esteem, egos, otherwise through their daily lives. It may be that users of movescount.com and similar exercise tracking systems gravitate towards their complete exercise session in such a positive way as it does help to vouchsafe their self-esteem, along with the function for enabling people to like what they've just done. Another social function of the system is to replicate the comments or posting facility provided by mainstream social media such as Facebook. So in this system, you're able to make a comment to someone, and you can make a comment particularly directed at somebody's uploaded exercise session, including your own if need be. So this function is referred to as shouts in this particular system. What sets shouts apart a little is that it's only a small number of people tend to make a large number of shouts to to a wider audience online. Consistent with other research looking at some gender differences in the volume and frequency of social media commentary. Kibrov et al. In 2013 found that females tended to be far greater users of mediated communication, including text and social media. So our findings are pretty consistent with that. Interestingly, those individuals within this population who had a lower BMI score and higher fitness index scores tended to have more shouts or comments directed at their uploaded sessions than others. In 2009, Vishwanath et al. Investigated over 830,000 Facebook posts between over 100,000 individuals on the Facebook network, and they've discovered that over a 3-year period, there's only a fraction over 12%, that entire population of users use the facility for commenting to other individuals. So although it's a much talked about and touted feature of these online social networks, including the moves count and similar systems, the fact is, to the best of our evidence, points to it's not in fact that popular really. People tending and wanting to affirm their own exercise, observe other people and follow them, but not so much interact with them on a regular basis. Just an interesting aside, there's absolutely no evidence out of some multiple regression analysis to indicate that